All right, for today's enrichment, we are going to look at another type of graphical display, and we're going to be focusing on the bar graph. So a lot of people get bar graphs and histograms mixed up because they do look very similar. A bar graph is a graphical display of data using bars of different heights to show how frequently something occurs. So when we look at the two right here, the first thing that you probably notice as a difference is that the bar graphs have spaces or gaps between each bar, and a histogram doesn't. They are all right next to each other. The other main difference is that a bar graph has categories. So here we've got the different countries as categories, or below we have fruit on the bottom, versus a histogram has number ranges, so that this is the range from 100 to 150, then 150 to 200, and so on. So let's look at the steps to creating our own bar graph. So step one is you're going to collect the data. So for this example that we're going to do, the data was collected. That's when you're tallying. So you'd be looking at, Jonathan asked 145 people what their favorite fruit is. So he went around. When they said apple, he put a tally there. When they said orange, he put a tally there, and so on. And then to figure out the frequency, you're just adding up those tallies. So you're counting 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 is the frequency for apples. For oranges, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 is the frequency there. Bananas, 5, 10. Kiwi, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Blueberries, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. And grapes is 5. So now that was step one. We have our data collected. The next step is we're going to label our axes. Remember that the vertical axis is X, the vertical axis is Y, the horizontal axis is X. And we're going to label them with the units. So remember, based on this chart up here, we label the x-axis with the categories. So we were talking about fruit here. I'm going to label just the overall name, is that we're looking at fruit. But I'm going to turn it sideways here, and I'm going to list out the actual fruits that we're talking about. So we start with apples. Then remember, we leave a gap. Then the next one, oranges. Leave a gap. Then the next one, bananas. Leave a gap. Then the next one, kiwi fruit. Leave a gap. Then the next one, blueberry. Then leave a gap. And the last one, grapes. Then for our y-axis here, we're just talking about the frequency of how often these things occur. So that was step two. Step three, we need to decide the scale here. How much is it going up by? So if we look at this example here, it went up by 100, 100, 200, 300, 400. You could go up by 1, you could go up by 2, 3, 4. It does not matter. You just need to make sure it makes sense for the data to keep it kind of consolidated and that you're going to be able to actually fit it on the graph. So if I counted the lines 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I cannot go up by 1 because these numbers go way higher than 8. I always look for the highest frequency, which in this case is 40. I need to make sure that I can fit 40 on here. Even if I went by 2s, I'd only go up to 16. So the other thing that I notice is they all end in 5s or 0s, which means it would be pretty easy to go up by 5s. Let's see if that would fit. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. It works. So I'm going to label each line. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. And then we're just going to graph. So the apples, we need to get to 35. Oranges are at 30, so we leave a gap. Then we draw a bar up to 30. Shade it in. Bananas are 10, so we leave a gap. Draw a bar up to 10. Kiwi fruit are 25, so we leave a gap and then draw a bar up to 25. Blueberries are 40, so leave a gap then draw a bar up to 40. And then grapes are 5, so leave a gap and then draw a bar up to 5. And that's it. So when you are creating your own, you are going to be filling out this chart with the tallies, marking what the frequency is based on those tallies, and then graphing. We have provided a graph paper for you on your sheet, but if you want to make the graph bigger or you prefer to do it on a different piece of paper, you can certainly do that. You can use a ruler, whatever you want, just separate graph paper. Just make sure that it's going to fit in whatever paper you choose to use.